Next up, the spread of soybean gall midge continued into the 2021 growing season. Since its discovery in 2018, the pest has now been identified in 140 counties in Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri. That includes 8 new counties in Nebraska this year alone. Nebraska Crop Protection and Cropping System Specialist Justin McMechan joined me to offer an update on SGM's spread and to look at some new management options.
It's those 6 counties on soybean, 2 additional counties beyond that on sweet clover, which, separating those 2 out I think is important. We are getting still really good at finding it, from last year where we were getting really good at finding within a field where to look. Now we're utilizing like USDA Cropscape to identify rotations. So getting out into these really remote areas and finding it. But I think you're right. I think we're looking at spread of the insect as we go west. Whether or not it just establishes itself out there or actually becomes a problem out there, I think is 2 real big questions for growers that are especially out in those counties.
Anything with the research this year that surprised you?
Yeah, we did a lot of new studies this year. One was to look at its distribution in the field as it emerged and how far it went into the field. We were surprised to find it at 500 feet into the field after the first adults emerged or during that first emergence. That was surprising. Obviously we had some tactics that were really surprising that we didn't know, but the insect also emerged earlier than anticipated based on the last 2 years by almost 2 weeks. So I think it's safe to say gall midge is going to continue to surprise us going forward because we just don't have a lot of historical knowledge on it.
And you've written that hilling could be a potential SGM strategy. Talk to me about how that works.
Yeah, it's a really primitive tactic. I mean, there's nothing really crazy about it. We simply covered the base of the soybean plants early in the season, just as gall midge emerged. Actually, we're 5 days after adult emergence. So there's this tiny area at the base of the plant that is susceptible to soybean gall midge. These little fissures or cracks occur. And we simply came in with a tillage unit and pushed soil up around that base. And by covering that, the adults can't lay eggs. And so essentially we cut out all infestation, and there's these beautiful pictures that show up of 98% dead, which for an entomologist that's pretty neat, to 100% alive, or near 100% alive. So it's told us a lot about the insect's need to infest that small portion at the base of the plant. A tactic that not all growers are going to be able to use. I think it's going to be a limited group. Really, really useful for researchers like myself to understand the insect.
Was it one of those things, hey, let's just try it, simple enough to work?
Yeah, actually we ran across it in a survey. So Nebraska Soybean Board and North Central Soybean Research Program funded survey. We dropped through the Columbus area and hit a ridge-tilled field. And we're looking for gall midge, no gall midge. We'd seen gall midge prior to that. Left that field and immediately right back into gall midge. And as we were in that field looking, I thought, man, there's no place for them. It's all been covered up. I thought, why don't we just do that as a control tactic?
Any idea regarding yield loss for impacted producers?
Yeah, I would say this year's probably not going to be as bad for growers as it was last year. And I say that knowing that some growers watching this are probably having a worse year this year than they did the previous year. So what that tells us is across Nebraska, eastern Nebraska, we're getting varying levels of pressure each year. And so some are going to see tremendous losses, maybe in the 50% category for the field, which is a lot. Others are going to see that 5 to 10% or not even noticeable but have the insect present. And so we have a survey going that tries to document that, but it's really hard to document the level of severity relative to yield loss in the state.
Talk to me about management options producers could have for the 2022 growing season.
Yeah, it's not any easier of a picture than it was when we left the 2021 season. We have the hilling, which we talked about and is a really high potential strategy. We've done a lot more insecticide work. We looked at methodology of foliar application. There are opportunities there, but what I tell growers, if you're on 15-inch row spacings, I have a hard time delivering a good tactic to you. You're on 30-inch rows, I can do a lot, or some other tactics that are available. Planting date is how we start next season, so deciding the planting date. And this year is a near flip to 2020, where it appears, based on what we've seen so far this year, that our later planting dates are going to do better. And Natasha Umeziu is a new master's student. She's taken up that work, and so she's really taken that to a new level. I'd say people have to see that talk or presentation to really understand what those planting dates are doing over time. So some tactics out there, nothing's 100% except the hilling, and even it breaks down over time. We've just got a lot to learn. I think Gall midge told us again this year, it's not going to be an easy insect to manage because it has this long duration of emergence. which means we just can't throw one thing at it and have it go away.